Hey, I'm Brian Shannon, founder of alphatrends.net, and this is my trading area. Come on in and take a look at see where all the magic happens, as they say.
This is Alpha Trends HQ right here. Awesome. Brian, would you kind of walk us through screen by screen and kind of what we're looking at here?
Sure. So this is my main screen where my attention is mainly focused. So I'll dismiss the other stuff first. Up here in the upper right, I keep TweetDeck open. And then I've got a couple of other tabs, like if I need to look at something specific on Twitter. Uh, Here I have a stock software called FinViz. I like that because they show the short interest, as you can see here, number of shares short, short float, short interest ratio, etc. And then over here, I keep my email, just some other tabs open. On the right, this is what I pay least attention to. This is the actual where I do the trades, where I execute the trades. So this is TD Ameritrade, Thinkorswim. And on here, you can see I have 8 level 2s. So I have these level 2s because they are where I execute, as I say. And what I'll do is, the way I do my ideas is I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to the level 2 itself. Back in the day, that was something different, but now I pay a little bit of attention to the level 2 when it's time to execute the trade. And we'll go through how I know it's time to execute the trade in a moment. But what I look at when I see the level 2 is I want to see, so for instance, OUST, I don't know if these guys reported earnings, but they're pretty busy right now in the aftermarket. You can see, oh, and they're getting crunched. Good thing I didn't hold that one. I thought they reported it yesterday. Double good I didn't hold because I didn't have the info right. So anyways, I know LEU is reporting. I'm waiting for them. I'd look to see how active is the tape. And I'm not looking so much at the time in sales, but I want to see, the speed of the tape. So you can, like I said, that's the only one moving in here. These other stocks, nothing's happening because it's the after hours. But I have, these are the stocks I will most likely do business in that day or have done business in now that the market's closed. My main screen that I look at is right here. This is what you can see is I have, so for instance, we'll take a look at, so for the SPY. So I have the daily chart here, the 65-minute. On that 65-minute, I have a 5-day moving average. And I've got the anchor off of the April lows because I just keep that on all my charts. I've got a 30-minute time frame with the 5-day moving average and the month-to-date anchor. I've got a 5-minute time frame with the daily 2, 3, 4, and 5-day VWAP. I've got pivots and I've got volume on that one. But you can see I don't pay a whole lot of attention to volume. And those 4 screens are also linked to this one, which is a 2-minute. So if I'm really getting down to business and looking at, bounces from the daily VWAP and that sort of thing, where I'll look at that, I'll see it coming in maybe on the 5-minute chart. Then I'll say, okay, now I want to focus a little bit more aggressively. Up here in the upper left corner, I have my weekly chart. I generally know what the weekly charts look like, but you can see that when I tab down, all 6 of those screen timeframes change. But my focus is down here because I know I don't really need to look at the weekly chart. If it's a new name I'm not familiar with, or I'm not familiar with where the supply might be released, if it's a new high, then I glance up at the weekly chart. Otherwise, up on this screen, I have TradingView with, here you can see right now I'm looking at Bitcoin on a daily and a 4-hour chart. And I've just got VWAPs on those. Then I've got futures here on a 5-minute and a 2-hour time frame. And then I've got oil, not because I trade oil, but because we're at $104, $103 a barrel, and it doesn't seem to matter, but it's supposed to.
Yep.
And then up here also, these 6 timeframes are also linked to an options monitor. So I can look at puts, calls, different strikes, different expirations, and that sort of thing. So back to this is kind of like my main, I call it one main is my the name of it. And I've got the mags in there. So I've got, some of the high liquid leaders, AMD, Amazon, Google, Intel, Meta, etc. Then some of the names I'm focusing on. So Crocs is looking like it's starting to set up. Here's one I have an eye on. You can see it's pulled back to the 20. The 5 days flattening out. I've got this little level of supply right here, this little level of resistance. So that's how I kind of look at it. And what I'll do is I'll set alerts. So for instance, this one already triggered today, and I guess I didn't pay much attention to it because I triggered that alert at 108, 101.88. So I must have done that intraday down here somewhere. I think you know what I did? I set it over here at some point. No, that was at the beginning of the day. And basically I ignored it because I didn't think it was ready yet, never reset the alert. What I'll do tonight when I'm going through my homework is I'll look at this peak, for instance, right here in the last 30 minutes of the day. And I will say that is 103.50. So I'll go over here and I will set an alert at 103.45. So what I want to do is, this isn't going to be an A-list idea for me tomorrow morning. If it was an A-list idea, it will be on one of these screens, which we'll talk about in a moment, or this one right here. So I look at that and I say, you know, if it breaks above 103.50, I want to know, but or that's that high, but I don't want to see my alert go off and I look up and the stock is 30 cents higher.
Yep.
So that tells me, okay, I click on that and then so I can click on the alert. It populates all those. So it's seamless that I know. And then if this is one of my main stocks that I'm looking at, then I'll either have it up in the level 2 or I will pull it up in the level 2. And then at that point, I'll say, okay, what's the bid ask? Wait a minute, there's a 50-cent spread. If I want to go into this, maybe I need to bid for it. Or, hey, it's only a 3-cent spread. Looks like the tape is moving quick. It's getting ready to go. I've got to get involved. Do I want to use a market order? Do I want to use a limit order? Do I want to use some other, way of getting involved? So these are kind of like my focus names that I'll trade that day. So ALKS reported earnings today. LEU, they're reporting after the close tonight. These guys did report CYTK today. GameStop is just kind of a stupid one to watch. I took a little scalp off that one off the 2-day VWAP today. Twilio just reported, and that's been, today it was a perfect chase the gap or wait for VWAP on the shorter term time frame right here, and closed and held the daily volume weighted average price all day long. So the buyers are still there. They're still ramping this stock. So those are my main things that I'm looking at. Now, for the stocks that I either have a position in or that I want to watch carefully, that's what these 10 boxes are. So these are all 5-minute time frames. That's as low as I go on these ones. So I've got, IBIT because it's Bitcoin. I've got Micron. EFC is an income name. MP, it's just some big names like this PENG, which was a great trade off of VWAP today. So that was a beauty right here, by the way, at that point. And just in, some of these monster uptrends. So that's basically, so right here, these are ones that this list has 74 names on it. And these are ones that I am interested in enough to scan through the day. So when I'm looking at stocks, this is what I do. I'll just kind of go through them and I'll either put, a little check mark next to them or flag them or something. And, the uraniums looked like they were going to go today. They all fell apart. So these are names of interest. Then right here, kind of in the middle, hidden between the little tools for TC2000, I've got some of the bigger liquid leaders, and there's 139 of those. So, during quiet times during the day, I'll go through this list and just kind of scroll through and see if anything, hey, how come I wasn't paying attention to AVGO? Beautiful, chase the gap or wait for VWAP today, reclaim the VWAP, and it pulled back to the daily VWAP here. I was going to say maybe it goes tomorrow morning, but it's going right here after hours from 27 to 34. So those are, the main things. Now, on TC2000 here, the main charting platform I use, I also have these. So these are 5-minute charts, and I've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-day VWAPs. It kind of looks like a mess, but my eyes are used to it. So these are uranium names: URA, URNM, CCJ, quadruple U's, etc. So they all started out this morning, for the most part, pretty strong, but then they failed. So I kind of, I had focus on these this morning, but as they were all 8 out of 9, eight out of 9 of them failed pretty quickly, I dismissed that group. Rare earths, they've been pretty strong lately as well. So these aren't all the rare earth names, but these are the ones that I have a particular interest in.
So these are themes that kind of you're watching together.
Themes, yeah. So I'll look throughout the day, and if I start to see, another stock in a group that I'm aware of, I might go in and say, okay, well, what is that on my, space? I took them off of there because they all gapped up today and failed as well. Rocket Lab, Lunar, Fly. So I just closed that out, figured maybe in a couple days. And then down here, I've got, different time frames, different setups. So this is, for instance, the mags. I've got the Qs, Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, and this is a 2-minute chart. I kind of go to this when I'm bored during the day, when when I'm looking for a trade, truthfully. So it can be dangerous because I'm just basically, scanning back and forth, going there once in a while during the day and say, all right, what's up with Tesla? Is that a chase the gap or wait for VWAP? No, I know it's not, because I know that Tesla is having trouble with the year-to-date anchor right up in here and the 200-day moving average. So that's why I need to be aware of the multiple timeframes. I can't just go in and look at a 2-minute chart without knowing what the full picture is. So that's when I really feel like, if I get onto that page, then it's probably dangerous because I'm looking for a day trade rather than just letting stocks come to me. And, so a lot of my time during the day, first thing in the morning, if I have 20 alerts set, I might have 15 of them go off. So I'll just basically ignore them for the first 5-10 minutes. And I'll stay focused on my focus list. And then once my open positions, I can readjust and say, here's my new stop on that, or maybe peel a little bit off because it's gapping up into daily R2, take a third off. Once I've dealt with open positions and my A-list ideas might be triggering, I'll look at those first. Then after 20, 30 minutes, the market's settled down, I'll go back in and I'll look and I'll say, what triggered? Well, this BWA triggered. Well, I didn't take the trade, but no big deal. It's maybe setting up. It triggered because it's got this anchor off of that high in February from their earnings report, which earnings are due tomorrow, looks like, which makes sense because that was 3 months ago. So this earnings report anchor has been trouble for it. It's been holding above the year-to-date anchor, the 20, the 50. So anyways, I'll go back and I'll look at it. So for instance, tonight I'll look at this and say, well, they have earnings reporting tonight. So I'll go through a list like this that I'll look at the end, come up with at the end of the day. And these are the ones, especially with a little hash mark next to them. These are the ones, these will probably be focused for tomorrow. I haven't decided yet. And then I'll set alerts on those. And again, it's never setting it at what I think the action point is, but always just ahead of it.
Nice.
So anyways, that's pretty much it, unless you have some questions about it.
Yeah, no, this is fantastic. I love seeing behind the scenes. Obviously, this is many years in the making, this setup. What's the most recent addition to this kind of stack of software and kind of the overall setup that you found really helpful and that you've stuck with?
So in my closet over there, what you can't see, and don't go there because it's messy, I've got another monitor similar to this, but it's about that high. So I bought the taller one because these three used to be over here.
Yep.
So now I've got the SPY, the Qs, the semis, and the biotechs all right in front of me.
Right.
So I've always got my eye on the market. I can just glance up quickly for my focus stock. And that opened up space for 3 more stocks over, focus stocks. So that's the biggest change that I made. And like I said, this is where I spend 90% of my time during the day. I glance up here because TradingView has the futures, it has oil, it has Bitcoin. I've got the tweet deck, email, and just stuff to run a business as well.
Yeah.
But that's the majority of what I'm doing.
Any kind of notes or reminders to yourself around you that, yeah, just things that you always think about?
I put this up a while ago, and it's kind of, I don't know if you can see that, or
I can go over to that.
says, do not fight momentum, have the patience for the setup, watch the bigger levels, and recognize when it's okay to be greedy.
Yep.
Surge in volume continues in the trend direction. That's especially true now with, with the earnings gaps and that sort of thing. This is one I use here that it's a good reminder for me with Twitter. When I'm not patient, or maybe I'm down in a trade, I've learned that people forget what you said,
Yep.
forget what you did, but they don't forget how you make them feel. So
Yep.
slow down and be kind.
Yeah, perfect. What does your travel setup look like if you're traveling and still kind of keeping tabs on the market and all that?
I travel with 2 laptops, and one has a second monitor. So for trading, I've got that main laptop with the second monitor, and I just have my trading software on that. The other one is for email, for running alpha trends and that sort of thing. I just, and Twitter.
Yeah, excellent. And when you got started, what did your trading setup look like? Because obviously this is the modern version now, but
Yeah.
when you were getting started, in the 80s and 90s, what was different? What was similar? Yeah, walk me through kind of a blast from the past, what your trading looked like, decades ago.
Well, when you were growing up, you probably remember your dad's TV was that big cathode ray tube that was this wide in the back. That's the way the trading monitors were as well. And I remember, I think the standard monitor back in the day was 12 inches. And I remember getting a 16-inch one, and it was just so cool. And then these 22-inch ones, that they weighed about 35 pounds each. And having 2 of those 22 inches was really a big breakthrough. This is probably as much as I'll ever use. I've had my laptop open at times, but then I don't pay attention to it because it's too much. I really like the way this is dialed in.
The ultrawide is nice to have all in one spot and you can drag things around.
Yeah. And I don't really change it around much, though. I don't really move things. This is, first thing I come in the morning, before I get a cup of coffee, I come in here and turn everything on, make sure all my software is working, make sure there's no connection issues or anything like that. Look at my positions, at what's happening pre-market. Is something big happening? Does it look like, hey, it's just gapping up and doesn't look like it can hold, maybe feed a little bit out, just so I don't regret not doing that later. But this is pretty much how I have it dialed in, and I don't really see making many changes to it.
Excellent. For any traders kind of making their own HQ, any kind of recs, anything that you'd really suggest, any advice for them as they're kind of setting up their trading desk?
I am so bad at technology and knowing like how many gigs and all that stuff. I just have a guy build them for me and tell them what I need and don't question them about it. So I'm not the best guy for that.
Listen to the experts.
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect. Well, Brian, thank you so much for your time. Walk us through your setup, and hope gives everybody some ideas as they're making their own.
All right, cool. Cheers.